Well, hi NicNackers. So today what I have going on is, as you can see here, I went and a friend of mine has some cherry trees, and I went and picked up probably 10 or 15 pounds of her cherries, just because they're so good. And I washed, stemmed, and pitted those last night, put them in the fridge. And then here I have the, from the other day when I did those 40 pounds. I didn't have time to process them that night, so I just stuck them in our freezer downstairs. And then I grabbed the excess bags that I had from last year, and I think there might even be some from the year before there. And then my mom gave me some more of her cherries that she had in her freezer. So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to throw all of these cherries in my big roasting pan with the syrup, and then I'm going to be canning just plain cherries and syrup, and then a mix that I can use for cherry pies. So the recipe that I'm going to be using, I'll show you, but it's in that So Easy to Preserve, I think is the name of the book, from the National Center for Home Food Preservation. And it calls for tart cherries and lots of sugar because of the tart cherries. So what I'm going to be doing is basing my pie recipe off of that tested recipe. I'm going to be using a light syrup, but then adding in some almond extract and some cinnamon, and making a pie filling based off of that recipe, but not following exactly, because these are very sweet cherries. So I don't think we're going to need a lot of sugar for them. So anyway, I'm going to get these in the roasting pan, and I'll bring you back once they're ready to start putting in the jars. So I have my book here, the So Easy to Preserve, which is where I'm basing my recipe off of. And it's going to be on page 108 down here. And you can see there's, it calls for the sour cherries. It also calls for clear gel. I am not a clear gel fan. I bought some years and years ago when I first started canning, and I can't stand that stuff. It expands as it's cooking. It gets super thick. I just did not find it user-friendly at all. So I do not can with clear gel. Many people use clear gel and love it. I'm just not one of those people. So I can my pie fillings without any thickener. And then when I'm ready to make a pie, I just heat it up on the stove, throw in some cornstarch, thicken it up, throw it in the pie shell, bake it, and it comes out great. So that is what I'm going to be doing with these. So I'm going to set this down, and we'll start getting our first jar ready here. Had my jars heating up, and I threw in a bunch of cherries into my roaster, and then threw some syrup in there. And I'm just going to be going through, and I'm leaving it pretty versatile that way as far as the syrup goes, so that I can throw the rest of my berries or cherries that are thawing in there. Oops. So these have been heating up, and they've shrunk a bit, and there's a lot of juice in there now. So I am gonna probably be canning up some plain cherry juice as well, which I think will be just fine. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna throw in, let's see, the cinnamon is 1/8 of a teaspoon per jar. So that recipe does give you the option to do it per jar, or for 7-quart jars. And I'm just going to do them up 1 jar at a time. So it's 1/8 of a teaspoon of cinnamon. It's going to be red food coloring is optional. I'm not going to be using that. Almond extract is going to be 1/4 of a teaspoon. So I'm going to throw some of that in there. This reminds me of that amaretto, and you guys already know from my other videos that I love the flavor of amaretto. The bottled lemon juice, I think honestly is more called for because of the clear gel. But I think because these cherries are so sweet that I'm going to go ahead and add the bottled lemon juice, because I think that tart and the sweet will go really, really well together. And that's going to be a tablespoon, and where'd my other one go? Oh, right there. And a teaspoon per jar. All right, so there's that. I'm gonna start putting in our cherries. Get that a little closer. And I'm gonna fill the jars up. I'm gonna be very generous with the cherries, because worst case scenario, I end up with a lot of cherry juice later. And I may end up making some jelly or something out of that cherry juice. We'll see. Or we'll just drink it. The cherry juice, I'm going to be honest with you guys, is really good if you're a little backed up. The cherry juice, just like cherries, will get you going. So if you have issues in that department, it's a good thing to keep on hand. And then I'm just going to go ahead and ladle that in. And we're going to go to a 1/2 inch headspace. If you're using the clear gel, you're going to want to go a full inch or maybe even 1.5 inches. Clear gel, like I said before, really, really expands. So you want to be very generous with your space when it comes to that stuff. Go ahead and debubble these. And I'm hoping for no floating. I didn't get these up to boiling, but I did get them nice and warmed up in my roaster. So I'm hoping that I don't get any floating. My other cherries, I didn't bring you guys along for that, I don't think. But they did really well when I just kind of heated them up on the stove. I didn't really get much floaters with those either, so I think these will be just fine. We'll make sure that we wipe the rim off really, really well. See that residue on there? Any of that that stays on that top of that jar can prevent your jars or your lids from sealing. So clean, clean, clean. You cannot clean too much. If you think you might have missed it, go back and make sure that you didn't. It's worth it. Grab it in there. And they're ready to go. And I just love that contrast of the yellow and the red cherries. So pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this one in. I'm going to continue to fill these up and get my canner full. And these will process for, because I'm hot packing them, 25 minutes for my altitude. So if you're below 1,000 feet, then you can can these for 20 minutes. But I have to go for 25. All right, I'll bring you back. Ooh, I just splashed myself. Ouch. I'll bring you back when they're coming out of the canner. So I just brought you guys back to let you know, I think I told you that the cherry pie filling was for 20 minutes if you were under 1,000 feet. But I was wrong. It's actually for 30 minutes. So my altitude, we're going to be going for 35. And I do think that's because of the clear gel and how thick it makes it. But even though I didn't use a clear gel, I'm going to go ahead and just can it for the time as if I did use a clear gel. So anyway, those are starting to bubble now, looking good. And you will see them when they're coming out of the canner. And there the cherry pie filling is. Fresh out of the canner. You can still see it bubbling in some of those jars. They look beautiful. I am getting a little bit of siphoning out. Look at that. But that's all right. Well, there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Bye-bye. All right, so these are the, those two are the pie filling. And then over here, I have some cherries and syrup. And then over here, some more cherries and syrup and some cherry juice. So I was going to take you guys along for the cherries and syrup and the juice And Eric was watching a movie, and yeah, so I didn't really want to make him have to stop it and do all that. So I just continued my canon while he enjoyed his movie, and now I'm bringing you back for the end result. They're pretty, aren't they? They turn out fabulous. All right, so there you have it. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.